There is a decision-making system used by NATO Special Forces, US fighter pilots and British Army snipers, and it is the single most powerful framework you can bring into ARMA Reforger. Most players have never heard of it, and the ones who have are winning fights they have absolutely no business winning. This is the OODA Loop. My name is Alex, I'm a former British Army sniper, and I spent years having this system drilled into me on exercise and on tour. It governs every contact decision from the moment your boots hit the ground, and I'm making this video for one simple reason. I've watched it break entire servers in ARMA Reforger, and I need to show you how. Alright, what is the OODA Loop? The OODA Loop was developed by US Air Force Colonel John Boyd, a fighter pilot who spent his career analysing why some pilots consistently won dogfights, even against faster, more technically capable aircraft. What he found wasn't about skill, firepower, or aircraft performance, it was about the speed of the decision making. OODA Loop stands for Observe, Orient, Decide, and Act. It's a cycle, a continuous loop that every conscious person runs through every time they face a threat or decision. The key insight Boyd had was this: the pilot who could cycle through the loop faster than their opponent would consistently win, not because they were better shots, but because they were making better decisions faster. Now, the British Army didn't handle me a pamphlet labelled OODA Loop, but the principles behind it are baked into everything. Contact drills, patrol orders, range procedures, sniper pair tactics. Every fire team, every squad, every pair of snipers out on the ground is, whether they know it or not, running OODA Loops against the enemy all day long. Here's why this matters in ARMA Reforger specifically. This game is, without question, the most accurate military simulator available to civilians. The distances are real, the ballistics are real, the communication challenges are real, which means the OODA Loop doesn't just work here, it works better here than any other game on the market. So let me break down each phase. The first phase is Observe, and it sounds simple, but most players get this fundamentally wrong. Observing isn't just looking. In the military, observation is a structured activity. When you move into a new area, your first task is to build a complete battle picture of your environment. Where are the threats? Where's the dead ground? What's moving? What's changed since the last time you looked? We talk about reading the ground. That means understanding the terrain so well that you can predict where the enemy will be before you've even seen them. Most players in ARMA are reactive observers. They see something move and then they react. A trained soldier is a proactive observer. They've already identified every likely firing position, every covered route of approach, every piece of dead ground before the contact even happens. By the time the enemy appears, they're not surprised, they're ready. In practical terms, this means before you push, before you set up, before you engage, just stop. Build your battle picture. Use your map, identify your arcs, your dead ground, your likely enemy positions. If you're a sniper, find the ground the enemy thinks is safe and watch it. The difference between a player who gets flanked and a player who doesn't isn't luck, it's the quality of their observation phase. Observation feeds directly into Orient, and Boyd identified this as the most critical phase of the entire loop. It's the one that most military training focuses on, and it's the one that no gaming guides ever talk about. Orientation is the process of making sense of what you've just observed. You've seen movement in the tree line. Now, what does that mean? Is it a sniper setting up, a patrol moving through, a player running back to get ammo? What is the so what of what you've just seen? In the military, your orientation is shaped by what we call your mental model of the battlefield. Your training, your experience, your understanding of enemy tactics, all of that filters the raw information from your observation phase and turns it into a meaningful picture. Here's why this matters. Two players can observe the exact same thing and reach completely different conclusions. The untrained player sees a bush moving, the trained player sees a bush moving 40 meters from the last known enemy position, upwind, on a likelier route of approach to the objective, and immediately knows what that means. Your orientation phase is where your military knowledge becomes a weapon, understanding how enemy players will approach under fire, where they'll seek cover, how they'll react when compromised. That is orientation. The more accurate your mental model, the faster and better your decisions will be. But here's the part most people miss. The OODA Loop is not just a personal cycle, it's a competitive cycle. You're not just running your own loop, you're actively trying to disrupt your enemy's loop. If you could do something unexpected, something that doesn't fit their mental model of the situation, you disorient them, literally. Their orientation phase breaks down, their loop slows, and that is the gap that you exploit. But before we go any further, Bohemia have asked me to show you something really cool. This is the new ARMA Reforger Collector's Edition merch, and it's full of awesome stuff. It's available for purchase right now on the BI store, so why don't we check out what's inside it. It's got a 1:18 scale replica of the iconic M1025 Humvee, complete with drivable wheels, perfect for crashing into trees with, some cool patches, a cool notebook filled with goodies which I'll show you later, and an ARMA water bottle for staying hydrated. Inside the notebook you'll find metallic fridge magnets, more patches including Task Force Maldon ones, an awesome map of Everon, and some sick photos on postcards that you can stick up and send to your friends. So head over to the BI store and grab yourself a ARMA Reforger Collector's Edition merch box, and thank you to Bohemia for sending me out a copy. Once you've oriented, you understand what you're dealing with, you enter the decide phase. This is where most players lose time they can't afford to lose. In the military, we train to make decisions quickly and with incomplete information. The enemy is never going to wait for you to feel comfortable. A slow decision, even the right one, is often worse than a fast decision that's slightly imperfect. Boyd's framework is clear on this. Your decision doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be faster and better than your enemies. If your opponent is still in their observation phase and you're already deciding, you have already won that cycle. There's a principle I keep coming back to: speed of decision at the expense of certainty. You will never have full information, you will never be completely sure. The moment you have enough to act, you act. In ARMA Reforger, the player who spends 3 seconds deciding which angle to hold while the enemy is already moving will lose, not because they've made the wrong choice, because they made it too slowly. Good decisions in the decide phase also come from pre-planning. In the military, we call this actions on. Before any patrol, any mission, any contact, you pre-decide your responses. If a vehicle comes down the road, I engage it with a launcher. If I'm compromised, I break contact east. When the moment comes, you're not deciding from scratch, you're executing a decision you've already made in a calm moment. Take that into ARMA. Before you set up an ambush, pre-decide your fallback route. Before you push an objective, pre-decide your abort criteria. The decide phase should already be half complete before the situation even develops. The final phase is act, and this is where everything that came before it becomes a result. But here's what Boyd understood that most people don't. Acting isn't the end of the loop, it's the beginning of the next one. Every action you take changes the situation, which means your observation begins immediately. You are never out of the loop, you're always cycling through it. In the military, the quality of your action matters less than the speed of it, to a point. A fast, aggressive action that surprises the enemy is almost always more effective than a slow, precise one that gives them time to react. This is why contact drills exist. Reaction to effective enemy fire isn't about standing still and aiming carefully, it's about returning fire immediately, creating movement, and breaking the enemy's loop. In ARMA, the players who win firefights are rarely the ones with the best aim. They're the ones who act first, act decisively, and then immediately re-observe and orient onto the changed situation. They're cycling through the loop faster than their opponent. Their opponent is still trying to orient when they're already on their second decision cycle. One more thing about the act phase, and this is something that separates good soldiers from great ones. Aggressive action compounds. When you act decisively, you force your enemy into a reactive posture. They stop running their own loop and start responding to yours. Every subsequent cycle that you run, they're one step behind and the gap grows. That is how small units defeat larger ones. That is how a 3-man sniper team can shut down an entire server. So there's the full picture. Observe, orient, decide, and act. The OODA Loop isn't a trick or a shortcut, it's the underlying system that every professional soldier, sniper, special forces operator uses to win engagements that should be, on paper, losses. And the reason it works so well in ARMA Reforger specifically is that this game punishes the players who skip steps. You cannot react your way to victory. You cannot spray and pray. Every mistake has a cost. Every advantage you build into your decision making will pay dividends throughout the entire game. I spent years training this framework in environments where getting it wrong had real consequences. The fact that I can bring it into ARMA and watch it work against real players, that's honestly one of the reasons I love this game as much as I do. So now we're going to take a look at some situations and observe my OODA Loop as I go head to head with real players in a real match and see what happens. So let me quickly set the scene. I spawned in at a nearby base and I noticed we were being engaged by enemy snipers in the wood line to the south. So I set out to try and find those snipers and eliminate them. All a shot looked like that was on, but... Oh, we definitely hit him, look. Killed him then. There was another though. I saw another moving from right to left when we engaged him. Hearing another vehicle up this way.
Kentucky, we're friendly.
Another one again, dude. God, there's loads of them, man. See you. No. Where have you gone? Try and frag him out, I guess. SVD in this tree line. Did I just see him then? Yeah, I did. Killed him. Nice. That's like a full squad wipe right there. Seems like they're still engaging somebody up here though. What these guys got? They got some frags. Take a radio. Yeah. Another sniper down here, it looks like. Hearing somebody talk again. In game. Well, not hearing. ARMA's very kindly telling me there's somebody still alive. Guy's got an AR, they do. I was just permanently talking in local chat. guy there. That's the guy we killed before with the SVD. All I can see is this guy. I don't know, do you reckon it's bugged or? Reckon this guy is just on permanent yap next to me. Nope, he was there, just on permanent yap. Yeah, what do you have on you? More mags, more frags. Nice. In this next clip though, we're going to be looking at how we can abuse the OODA Loop system within a fast-paced environment. Jumping into this ultra-hardcore modded server forces you to complete your OODA Loops quicker to interrupt your enemies and to gain an advantage. You'll see me quickly changing between rooms to throw the enemy off of their OODA Loop, constantly forcing them to reset. So let's see what happens. We got any visual over here? A lot of angles. Okay, this is east, so the point should be to that other side of that block I was just looking at. See if we can make our way across that. It's quite open though. Let's go upstairs. Try and get height on this point. Oh, where was that from? Friendly. Let's just give him a bit of space. That was definitely friendly though. Not seeing much movement to be honest. Hearing lots of shots in these apartment blocks though, so there's definitely enemy around us somewhere. Okay, didn't get him. Go upstairs. I think that is Russians talking, to be honest. Yeah, it has to be. They may come upstairs here. Friendly. I'll give you something to think about. Damn, hit him, but I didn't have muzzle clearance. Alright, let's reposition again. I don't want to stay in the same window for too long. Not if I can help it. Got you that time, buddy. Hoo-hoo. That was a nice shot. Okay, okay. We've been spotted by somebody. Let's hold this angle for a minute. Let it breathe. I don't want to walk straight out there and get schwacked by this guy. Just saw someone then. Let's not check our map in the window. There is a friendly in there. Good job we didn't shoot at that person. There's another one down. More friendlies moving in. He's taking shots from somebody though. Coming from down this way. Got a friendly on that building somewhere. But this shot is coming from here. I should keep his head down for a bit. Movement. Ooh. Good night, son. So, to summarize, observe, build your situational awareness before you need it, read the ground, be proactive, not reactive, orient, use your knowledge of tactics and enemy behavior to understand what you're seeing faster than they can understand you. This is where your training becomes a weapon. Decide, pre-plan your responses, commit quickly, and accept that imperfect information is the only kind you'll ever have, and act, execute without hesitation, then immediately re-enter the cycle. If you found any of this useful, leave a like down below. It genuinely helps the channel out more than you think. And if you want more military frameworks and tactics broken down, hit subscribe and drop a comment on which tactic you want covered next, and I'll see you all in the next one.